Hi everyone, it's MJ. Hey, thank you so much for clicking on my video. This is actually my first video, and today we're going to be talking about what an STNA is, how you become an STNA, and kind of the difference between being an STNA in the different facilities like nursing home compared to hospital or home health care. But before we get into that, I thought I would go ahead and start off by introducing myself a little bit. And if you don't care to hear me ramble on, that's totally cool. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description box below of where this video actually starts. Okay, so like I said, my name is MJ. I'm 20 years old and I am a college student. This is actually my first semester in nursing school. And I've been an STNA for about 4 years now. I also waitress and occasionally help out at Bath and Body Works. So I am super busy. I try to keep my hours pretty minimal, but I do like to mix it up and be at different places just so I don't get burnout anywhere and I can come in fresh every single time. I will be a new homeowner soon, so that'll be super cool and I'm very excited about it, and you guys will be getting a empty house tour and then updates as I move everything in. I hope you guys enjoy that. I enjoy those kind of videos, so we'll see how it goes. And for my channel, I plan on uploading education videos, home improvement videos, maybe some DIY decorative stuff, and lifestyle vlog type videos. Okay, so here we are in the video. Here we go. That made no sense, but here we are. What is an STNA? So STNA stands for a state tested nursing assistant. Sometimes before you take your state test, you'll be referred to as a CNA, certified nursing assistant, or if you work in a hospital setting, you'll hear PCNA, patient care nursing assistant, or PCT, patient care technician, PCNA, said that one. So sometimes in the hospital we'll just be referred to as techs too, like for technician. But basically, I'm gonna start off by saying that I am from Ohio. I was state tested in Ohio, always been in Ohio. So everything I'm saying does pertain to Ohio, and if you're in a different state, then the information I'm saying might vary slightly, and definitely check on what your rules and regulations are for your state, because if you get certified in one state, it is good for that one state. So if, say, I decided to move to Kentucky or something, I would have to go through a process to have my certification reinstated, because what you have to know and what you're required to know in Kentucky could be different than what it is in Ohio. So you do need to update your certification if you move out of state. So I personally took a 2-week training course at a nursing home, and then we had a week of clinical experience following that 2 weeks. So altogether it was about 3 weeks. And Ohio law states that you must have 75 hours of training to get state tested, but you can start working with patients after 16 hours. And then STNAs work in hospitals, medical centers, doctor's offices, clinics. They also work in nursing homes, rehab facilities, assisted living environments, home health care, and hospice. I have personally worked in nursing homes, I've done home health care, and I've been in the hospital setting. So those are the ones I'm going to talk about, because I don't really know a whole lot about the other ones. Like, I've worked in the nursing home. We had an assisted living that I sometimes helped out in, or long-term stay rehab, but it wasn't like a designated facility that just was surrounded by that. It was all in the same building. For my class, like I said, I was in a 2-week nursing program, or nursing aid program through the hospital, but I know colleges and Adult learning programs also offer courses, usually 8 weeks or 16 weeks. And in the class, you cover a lot of topics. So if you don't have any previous knowledge in healthcare, you definitely want to study. They give you all the information you need in class, but you cover safety, communication, infection control, resident rights, personal care, basic nursing skills, mental health, data collection, role and responsibility, caring for the impaired, disease control, and older adult health. So there is a lot of different topics that you go over, and it would definitely be kind of overwhelming if you had no background. I personally did have background. I have a lot of healthcare professionals in my family, and so I've been around it a long time. I've had family that have had a lot of health issues, so I was involved with them, and so it wasn't that bad for me, but I could definitely see someone going back to school or hasn't learned this stuff previously. It could be kind of a lot. After you finish the course, you take a test to be a certified nursing assistant, and it's a written test, and then you have 3 months to work in a long-term stay facility before you have to get state tested. So when you go to get state tested, there is a written portion that mine was on a computer, and it's a comprehensive exam, and as well as a skills exam. And the skills exam, sorry, I had coffee, it's over here. Right here we are. Hello, Duncan. Live on, Duncan. Anyways, moving on. There's also a skills exam that consists of 5 nursing skills that must be completed in a 35-minute time frame. The skills are picked from a book that you will get that you go over 25 different skills in your course, and they just pick 5 from there. And then you have to score at least 80% overall to pass the skills test. There's like some leeway depending on who your patient is. Like, they send people in from the state, and I was in the middle of doing a skill, and I did run over that 35-minute time frame, but they didn't stop me. I was able to keep going, and it wasn't held against me. But I did actually have to take the skills test twice, and I think you're allowed to take it up to 3 times in a certain amount of time, and then you have to wait. But I don't remember what skills I had the first time I took it, but I know that I had failed because I forgot to say a bold phrase. So in your handbook that you receive that explains the different skills, they have like bold things that you absolutely have to say. So when you're going through the test, the skills portion, you say out loud everything you're doing. Like, you walk in the room, you're like, it's like a simulation thing, so you have like a hospital bed or a dummy depending on what you're doing, and you walk in and you're like, hi, my name is like so and so, I'm washing my hands, I'm gonna perform, we're gonna do wheelchair ambulation today, if that's all right with you. And then, so basically you have to say you're washing your hands, or say that you're knocking on the door or something like that. It's kind of weird because it's just things you would normally do. And then like a bold term, for example, is if you're doing wheelchair ambulation, you absolutely have to say the wheelchair is locked. You can't just lock it and like have the patient get up. Like, you need to confirm that the wheelchair is locked. If you don't say that, you're gonna fail, because that's a super important safety tip that absolutely has to be done. You can't be moving patients in a chair that's not locked. Like, that's a major fall risk. So like that, or like not saying that you're washing your hands. Hand care is extremely important, and you absolutely have to do it. So that's another thing. I know I also missed points when I was doing hair care because I didn't ask the patient how he wanted his hair styled. I kind of just went in, said who I was, said we're gonna do hair care, and then started brushing his hair. I didn't ask him like, oh, how do you want your hair parted? And my particular person that I tested on, he wasn't very talkative, so it was kind of like really weird. Like the skill I ran over on was making an occupied bed. So he was laying in the bed and I had to make the bed, but I couldn't get him to like, okay, we're gonna roll now. But he like actually fell asleep in the bed and I couldn't get him to roll. And I'm just like, what do I do? He's not moving and he's a grown man. He's twice my size. And how do I change the sheets? Like, but I got through it. I passed it. We're good. But it was, it was weird. It was definitely weird. And sometimes that does happen actually when you're working, that like patients don't hear you or don't understand what you're saying, and then they don't really help out, and you're just like, I need you to roll, please. But so basically that was the class. And then at the nursing home that I worked at, it wasn't uncommon for me to have like 15, 20, 25 patients at a time. So like there was no time to sit down. Like if you were there, you were like moving, like non-stop moving. Like you didn't get a chance to sit down. I was probably super dehydrated because I never had a time to take a drink, because I was like, my patients need me. I have to get them ready. Like there's not a lot of time because you're on like time frames. Like I've worked for second and part of third shift, so like breakfast, lunch, dinner, like it's time for showers, like, and you have to get all these patients ready. Like it's super time crunched. So like I didn't want to rush anyone, so I had to be like really on top of everything, which ultimately kind of became one of the reasons I had to leave the nursing home, because there's a really fine line between giving your patients good care and neglecting your own care. I was working way too much while I was in school. I was working 12 and 16-hour shifts while I was in school, and it was like a couple times a week, and it was just a lot. I was so tired, and it just really took a toll on me, because I felt like if I wasn't there, I couldn't guarantee that my residents were getting good care. And like I had made a really good connection with a lot of my residents. Like they were like my family. So I actually still keep in contact with some of them, and I haven't worked there in 2 years. But it became really hard, and I eventually had to take a step back. And then I went to home health care for a while, because at the hospital, at the nursing home, we were responsible for showers, baths, hair care, mouth care, changing the clothes, changing the beds, taking out the garbage. Like we literally did everything. Set up for meals, make sure everyone's eating, make sure people are getting fed, like doing Hoyer lifts. It was crazy. And then when I went to home health care, it was like a huge switch, like insane switch, because I went from going all the time to only having one patient, and he really just wanted to watch NASCAR and Hallmark movies, and he didn't want me to bother him that much. So I cleaned his house and I made him dinner. That's pretty much all I did for him. And that's all he wanted me to do. And then I had another home health care patient where she had dementia, and she just wanted to show me her Lighthouse collection, which I was totally cool with, and then feed the squirrels outside. She had a ton of squirrels and this huge bag of peanuts, and we went outside and we just fed the squirrels all day. So she had some really fat squirrels, but it was a great time. But it was just like so different. Eventually I was like, I needed a happy medium. Like I wasn't really an STNA doing home health care. I was more of a companion, which is totally fine, but like that's not what I was trained to do, and it was kind of weird for me, especially because I had been in such an intense environment in the nursing home. So then I got into the hospital, which I absolutely love being in the hospital. I'm a float pool tech, so I don't have like a specified floor that I work on. I go wherever they need me, which I absolutely love, especially being a nursing student, because I get to see everything. I get to go to the ICU, I get to go to the psychiatric floors, I get to go to the ER, I go on the med-surg floors. I literally just get to go everywhere. I get to go to ultrasounds, CAT scan, like literally everything, and it's super cool. Because all of the nurses and all the staff that I work with, they're super good about explaining. I work for a teaching hospital, so we do have a lot of college students and nursing students come in and train with us. So they're really, really awesome about explaining everything they're doing. It was like kind of funny when I started working on the floor. Techs would be like, "Oh my goodness, I have 12 patients today. This is ridiculous." And I'm like, 12? Okay, I could do 12. And like, it was like the most amazing thing, because I came from having like 20 patients and now I have 12, and I'm like, okay. But after being at the hospital, now I'm like, I have 13 patients? How do you expect me to get everything done? Like, totally kidding. Like, I definitely can get it done, but it's just like funny how your mindset changes. Like, all of the time I have, like, that I had for 20 patients, now everyone gets more time because it's 12 patients, which is super nice. And not everything's like super rushed. Like, I'm able to sit down while I chart. I'm able to like drink some water occasionally, which sounds like super dramatic, but it's just like so funny how different it is. And at the hospital, we do slightly different things. Like, at the nursing home, I never did vital signs, where at the hospital, we do vital signs depending on the floor. Like, if it's like surgery, then we have like 4:15s, 2 half hours, 2 hours, and then like Q4. And then sometimes we have just Q4 vitals, so every 4 hours, and sometimes it's once a shift, so like every 8 hours. Also at the hospital, I'm able to do blood sugars, so I got trained how to take AccuChecks, which is like using the little like machine to check blood sugars. I get to do things like trach care, or like suctioning for like the patients in the ICUs. I deal with more restraints in the hospital. Like, if I'm in the ICU and the patient's like intubated, then obviously their arms are restrained, and especially when we're taking them like off the medication, so they start to wake up, because when you wake up, the first thing you want to do is pull that trach out, and not a good thing. So we use the soft restraints on the arms in the ICU. Other different things are, you don't do everything. Like, I was doing everyone's job when I got there, like, because like I said, we did everything at the nursing home, and they're like, you don't have to strip the bed, housekeeping does that. You don't have to take out the garbage, we have someone to do that. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, like, they have to sterilize the bed in a specific order, like there's a process. And I was like, huh? So like, I still like help out when I can, and like strip the bed, and then like throw away the extra garbage, and then when housekeeping comes in, they just have to sterilize everything and like remake the bed and like take out the trash. But like, I was doing everything, and they're like, no. So I think out of the three, I definitely prefer the hospital, just because it's still fast-paced, but I don't have to make that deep connection with the residents, where after they pass, it's really hard, because at the hospital, people come in and out so quick. You don't make super deep connections with people. Like, obviously you still make connections, but not to the same level of seeing that person every single day and like meeting their family and all that stuff. And it's a healthy medium, I think, between all three of them, where I still have a decent amount of patients, but not overwhelming amount of patients. The nurses are all super helpful. There's many nurses. We're at the nursing home. There really weren't. We had LPNs on the floors, but they had just as many patients as me, so their time was super crunched. At the hospital, we usually have 2 or 3, sometimes 4 techs, depending on how many patients are on the floor. But if you are the only patient, then you're considered functional, and you just like answer call lights, do acu checks, and like if you have time you can help out with vital signs, but it's not like required. So it's really nice in that aspect. I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed at the hospital. I still get to be an STNA and love what I do, so that's super cool. But I don't think I'm missing anything. Well, so that's it, I guess. Thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you again. Bye.